these actions are instant operation. Now I want to perform time dependent action. Now all the actions whatever we have performed as of now, all of them are instant actions. That is, whenever the workflow rule is met, automatically the actions are performed. Now we want to perform time dependent action, which means whenever the condition is met, then actions are going to be performed at the given time trigger. Whenever the condition is met, actions are going to be performed at the given time trigger, which we call them as time dependent actions. So let us go to this. Let us understand what are these time dependent actions. When you want to go with the time dependent actions, where was that file? Okay. Time dependent actions. These actions are fired at the given time trigger. These actions are fired at the given time trigger. So what are the actions? We told these are the actions. These actions are fired at the given time trigger. So when you define this time dependent action, how do you define these time triggers? Look at the format. If you want to define the time trigger, we are able to see here. First, deactivate the rule. Go to time dependent triggers, time dependent actions. First, we need to define the time trigger. When the action need to be performed, I told action need to be performed 3 days after the rule trigger date. No, action should be performed 30 days after the rule record created date. Action should be performed, let's say action should be performed 3 hours before the rule trigger date. What was this? We are specifying when the action should be performed. It is a time trigger. Time trigger will specify when the action need to be performed. Now I said 3 hours before the rule trigger date, 3 days before the rule trigger date, 3 days after the payment date. 3 days before the payment date. So you specify when the action should be performed. I told 3 hours after the rule trigger date, action should be performed. What action need to be performed? After 3 hours, what action need to be performed? We can add task, email alert, field update, outbound message, or choose any one of the existing. So I said create a task. To whom you are assigning the task? Let us say I assign to Kavya. And I told the action should be completed within 1 day. So I told perform the time dependent action. When the action should be performed? After 3 hours. I told action should be performed after 3 hours. Time trigger, action should be performed after 3 hours. Now go back to this. Activate. Now, if it is an immediate action, then run the action as Satish. But you said run the action after 3 days, run the action after 10 days. After 10 days, the rule has to run as which user? After 10 days, the workflow rule has to run as which user? If it is right now, it is going to run as the user who created this. But you are saying run this action after certain days, run this action after 4 days, run this action after 10 days, run this action before the expiry date. So what was this? We are performing the action at a specified time. When you are running the action at specified time, the action should run as whom. So choose that user as default workflow user. All the scheduled jobs are going to run like Satish. I told, if any jobs are scheduled, the job has to run as whom. Right. Then go to the payment, create a new payment. And I said created this. Look at this. No activity is created. I told there is an activity. But if it is an immediate action, you're going to check. You're going to find the result on the record itself. But it's not an immediate action. Then how do you know that the action is firing? If it is immediate action, I know whether the record is meeting the condition or not. If the record is meeting the condition, action is performed instantly. If it is not immediate action, how do I know whether record is meeting the condition, whether the rule is fired or not? To check whether rule is fired or not, we can go to setup, monitor, time-based workflow rules, give the condition, object equals, then it says there was an action which was scheduled, and its action is going to run at 11 a.m. So it says, boss, there is a scheduled job on payment 0011. There is a scheduled job on payment ID 011, which is going to run at 3rd November 2016 at 1 a.m. So job is scheduled at a particular time. If you want to abort this job, we can abort it. Right. So how do you test the jobs? If you want to know whether jobs are firing or not, whether time-based jobs are firing or not, go to monitor, go to time-based workflow queues, verify the condition, then you find list of jobs that are scheduled. Accordingly, we can find out whether the job is fired or not. If job is fired, when it is going to execute. Right, boss? No. Question. Any query from anyone? Any query, Monica? Right. Okay. Now the question is time dependent action. What are these actions? These actions are fired at the given time trigger. Time trigger can be plus or minus or before or after hours or days, before or after given time. Then we can create time-based workflow actions only when evaluation criteria is created or created and anytime edited. Only under these two criteria. If I choose evaluation criteria as created and every time it is edited, we will not be able to add time-based action. Let me show you. If I am creating a workflow rule, setup, build, create, workflows and approvals, workflow rule, choose the rule, application. Then if I am choosing the evaluation criteria as created and every time it is edited, if I choose the evaluation criteria as created and every time it is edited, if I choose the evaluation criteria as created and every time it is edited, then it is throwing an error message. You cannot add time dependent workflow actions. It says you cannot add time dependent workflow action. So if the evaluation criteria is created and every time it is edited, then we will not be able to create time dependent actions for this. So the time dependent actions can be created only when evaluation criteria is created or created and anytime it is edited. Fine. When I chosen this criteria, I said active equals to then it is asking you add a time trigger. How many time triggers we can add? I said 30 days after the rule trigger date, one action, one time trigger. I am creating one more time trigger. 3 days after the rule trigger date. Like that, I can add 10 time triggers. This is one time trigger. This is another time trigger. Like this, we can add 10 time triggers. In each time trigger, we can add 40 actions. In each time trigger, we can add 40 actions. Are you clear? In a single workflow rule, we can add 10 time triggers. In each time trigger, we can add 40 actions. In a single workflow rule, we can add 10 time triggers, and for every time trigger, we can add 40 actions. Out of 40, 10 emails, 10 field updates, 10 outbound message, 10 tasks. Right, boss? Any further queries on this? So here, put it. Yeah. Create. So any query on these points? Any query on these points? Fine. Right. So let me give quick conclusions on this. For close, these are the automated actions which are performed whenever condition or criteria is met. So when you say evaluation criteria, this will tell you when the workflow rule need to be verified. We have three choices. Created. When you choose this, whenever a new record is created, and every time the record is modified. So whenever we create a new record or anytime the existing record is modified, it will check the condition. Created and anytime created to check the condition, to meet the condition. So we are given this. So when the evaluation criteria is true, it is going to check the workflow rule. 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 Now we can define the workflow rule in two formats. Workflow rule. We can define the workflow rule in two formats. One is by using formulae. Another one is by using criteria. Then actions. When you say actions, actions are going to be immediate action or time dependent action. When you say immediate action, like sending an email, task creation, outbound message, and field update. Email alert means sending an email when the condition is met. Task, assigning a work to a particular user or a role or a owner. Outbound message, sending the record to external system. Field update, modifying the value in the record. Similarly, time dependent action. When you say time dependent actions, the actions are going to be performed at the given time. So like again, when you give a time, which we call as time trigger, the actions are going to be performed at the given time trigger. When you say time trigger, I say 3 days before the rule, okay, 3 days before the record expire, 2 days after the payment, 3 days before the expiry date, 2 days after the invoice date. So we are going to specify certain time frame. So the time frame at which the time frame what we have defined, the action is going to be performed at the time. Then we have gone with, then we have seen with how many time triggers it can create. We can create 10 time triggers for a single workflow. For every time frame, how many actions we can create? 40 actions we can create. Out of 40, 10 emails, 10 outbound message, 10 field updates, 10 tasks. So this is what we have seen in the last session. Any further queries? Any further queries? Any further queries? Right, okay. So people should be interactive, boss, otherwise the session get bored. So fine. Let me go with the next part of the story. Ten time triggers? No. It is 40. It is a 40 task, but limit is 10 emails, 10 field updates, 10 tasks. The total is 40. The total is 40. Total number of actions are 40, but limit is for every action it's only 10. So let me go with the next concept. So people should be more interactive, otherwise the session will be very boring for you and me. Because we are only watching the screen. We are only able to see the screen. People should be interactive, otherwise the session becomes boring for you and me. Be more interactive so that the session goes a bit interesting. Right, so let me go with the next part of the story. approval process. Now what was this approval process? Fine, let me make it. Now, according to your organization rule, you are applying for a loan. Now, in my organization, I'm selling the products, the sales executive. Now, I'm selling a product for 50,000. Now, I told you sales executives, boss, sales executives are allowed to give 10% discount on the price. Sales executives are allowed to give 10% discount on the price. Suppose if I ask, I want 20% of discount, then sales executive says, I am not authorized for this. I will get approval from my manager. Now when I say, boss, I require 20% discount, the sales manager says, sales executive says, it is not within my control. I have to take an approval from my manager. The manager says, manager can give up to 20% discount. But I asked, I was looking for 30% discount. The manager says, boss, I have to take the decision from I have to take the approval from the VP sales. Now the VP sales says, I can give concession up to 30%. Now what is this? According to your organization rules, they told the sales executive can give concession up to 10%. If we require more than 10% of concession, if the sales executive want to give concession more than discount more than 10%, he need a prior approval of his manager. Now, if you want to give up to 30% discount, then you require a approval from the manager and the VP sales. Now, what is this? According to your organizational business, according to your organizational business rules, anyone who want to give discount up to 10%, they don't need any approvals. Straight away they can give it. If executives want to give discount up to 20%, they need to take the approval from the manager. If anybody want to give discount up to 30%, then they have to take the approval from the VP sales. So what is this? It is their business. It is their business rules. According to their organization, these are the business rules what they are giving. These are the business rules what they are following. Similarly, now I have a business process. If you are creating a new customer, the front desk people can activate the customer. The front desk people can create a customer and activate the customer. But if it is a distributor, if they are creating a distributor, front desk people can only create the distributor, but they cannot activate. So whenever the front desk people create a distributor, it should be approved by manager. Once the manager approves it, record okay, distributor will be activated. So until the manager approves, the distributor will be in the deactivate state. So what I told, if you are creating an account of type customer, directly the front desk people can create him, activate him. But if you are creating an account like distributor, then I told it need to be approved from the manager. Once the manager approves, then the distributor is going to be approved. So what is this? According to their organization rule, whenever they are creating a new distributor, the record should be pre-approved by the manager. So this is their organization rule. Similarly, whenever we require approval to be taken before the logic is implemented on the record, or before the record is activated, then we need to go for approval process. I repeat the point. Whenever we need the record to be approved before the logic is implemented, whenever the record need to be approved before the logic is implemented, or whenever we want the record to be approved before the record is activated, then we go for approval process. Approval process is a automated operation where the record need to be approved or rejected, before the actual logic runs on it. Then I will go for submitting the record for approval. According to your organization requirement, according to your organizational business process, a record need to be approved or the record need to be rejected before it is processed. Before the logic is processed on the record. I repeat the point. According to your organizational business requirement, if the record need to be approved, before the logic need to be processed on the record, then we go for approval process. Now when you're going for an approval process, the first question they'll ask, is it a single step approval process or a multi-step approval process? Single step or multi-step? Now they say, if it is a single step approval process or a simple approval process. Single step approval process and simple process. Then we say jump start wizard. So if it is a single step approval process, or if I want to create a simple approval process, then I will choose jump start wizard. Multi-step approval process, then I'll go with the standard setup wizard. There are two categories of wizards. One is jump start wizard, second is standard setup wizard. When you want to create a simple approval process with a single step, then we use jump start wizard. If you want to create multiple step approval process or a complex approval process, then we go with multi-step approval process. Then it is standard setup wizard. Repeat the point. When you are going for an approval process, there are two types of wizards what we have, jump start and standard setup wizard. Now let us see, you proposing a girl, right? Now it has a simple process, propose, she say yes, get married, no, right, try another. Now this is a simple process. Now when it is a simple process and a single step is involved, we go with jump start wizard. Now second one, you propose a girl, propose. When you propose, first girl has to approve, take the approval from the girl. If girl approves, then take approval from parents, then take approval from grandparents. Now what is this? Then what is this? If the process is complex or the process has more than one step of approval, then we are going with standard setup wizard. So according to your requirement, the approval has a single step or approval has a multiple step. According to your requirement, the approval has a simple process or a complex process. Is the approval has a simple process or a complex process? If it is a simple and a single step, we go with jump start wizard. If it is a multi-step or a complex process, we go with standard setup wizard. Right. Now, based on this, we decide what type of wizard you are taking. Fine. Once you have chosen the wizard, now the question is, now the same one, I am proposing a girl. Now she told, boss, she says, who is allowed to propose? Because too many people are proposing. She gave a condition. Boss, people who are meeting this condition can only submit the proposal form. So what is this? So I have chosen the approval process, but she told entry condition. The records which are meeting this condition, only they can be submitted for approval. You cannot submit each and every record for approval. The records which are meeting this condition, only those records will enter the approval process. Now the condition is which records can be submitted for approval process. Which records can be submitted for approval process. We cannot submit each and every record for approval process. Only the records which are meeting this condition. Only the records which are meeting this condition, only those records can be submitted for approval process. Now here, she told a condition. What was the condition she told? She gave a condition, boss, qualification should be ME or MS, salary, take home should be 1 lakh, 2 credit cards. So this is the prior condition she told, boss. Now if you want to submit the record for approval, if you want to submit the record for my approval, your qualification should be ME or MS, your salary should be 1 lakh take home, and you should have 2 credit cards, then only submit my record for approval process. So what is this entry criteria? Records which are meeting this condition, only those records will enter the approval process. Records which are meeting this condition, only those records will enter the approval process. Now, when you want to submit the record for a approval process, it first verifies the entry condition. Records which are meeting this condition, only those records will be allowed to be submitted for approval process. Only those records will be allowed for the approval process. Once you submit, then they are asking, who is automated approver? Do you want to choose any automated approver? Automated approver means whoever is submitting, it has to go to the manager. If you want the record to automatically go to your manager, you want your record to automatically go to your HR manager, you want the record to automatically go to your sales manager, we choose him as automated approver. So when you submit the record, do you want the record to be submitted automatically to a particular user? Then we choose him as automated approver. Then she told, boss, whenever anyone submit the proposal for marriage, automatically the record should go to my father. So what is this? Here the father is automated. Now whose father? Whose father? Whoever is submitting, his father. Now what was this? User to user relation. User to user. When I am creating a user to user relation, what was that field called? Hierarchical relationship. When I say automated approver, who should be the next approver? Who should be the next approver? If you want to choose any particular person to be next approver, then we choose him as automated approver. Once you submit the record for approval, automatically record is logged. Who will be allowed to unlock the record? Once you submit the record for approval process, automatically record will be logged. Then who will be allowed to unlock the record? Then there are two choices. First choice is only administrator can unlock it. Second choice is administrator or currently assigned approver. Both can unlock it. So let us see what are the steps we discussed. What are the points we discussed? Let us see them on the screen. So if you want to create approval process, setup, build, create, workflows and approvals, approval process. Then choose the object on which you want to create approval process. On credit card, I am creating approval process on credit card object. Then they are asking, choose the wizard, approval process wizard. Is it a jump start or a standard wizard? When you say jump start, there is a single step and a simple step. When you say standard setup wizard, complex process or more than one step. I am always choosing standard setup wizard. Then what is the process name? Then they'll ask you, specify the entry criteria. Which records can be submitted for approval? Which records can be submitted for approval? I told records whose status is active, records whose status is active, or else I can say records whose status is blocked. Only those records can be submitted for approval. Now this is the entry criteria. Only the records which are meeting that condition, only those records can be submitted for approval process. Now it is asking, boss, you are submitting the record for approval. So do you want anybody to be automated approver? Then I said, manager, HR manager. What are these hierarchical fields what we created in the user object? Do you want your manager to be next approver? Do you want your HR manager to be next approver? You can choose it. I said, no. If I choose manager, let us say we have chosen manager. That means my next automated approver should be manager. Who's manager? Is it the manager of the user who submitted the record, or is it the manager of the record, manager of the owner of the record? Listen to the point carefully. Now I have a record here. The record is owner of the record is Shah. I said Shah. But who is the person who submitted the record? Kiran is submitting the record of Shah. Kiran submitted the record 111 Shah, where the owner of the record is Shah. But who is the person who submitted the record? Kiran. Now when I say automated approval is manager, whose manager? Is it the owner of the records manager, record owner manager, or the manager of the user who submitted? Manager of the user who submitted. By default, when you submit the record for approval process, whichever the user is submitting the record, his manager will be the next automated approver. Now, whoever is submitting the record, his automated user will be the next approver. But according to my requirement, I don't want Kiran's manager to approve. I want Shyam manager to approve. By default, whenever the record is submitted for approval process, the next automated approver is going to be the user who submitted his manager. User who submitted his HR manager. His HR manager. But I don't want record submitters HR manager. I don't want records submitters manager. I want record owners manager to approve. I don't want Kiran manager. I want Shyam's manager to approve. Then I will choose this option. When you choose this option, whoever is submitting the record, whoever is the owner of the record, his manager. Whoever is the owner of the record, his HR manager. If I don't select this option, whoever is submitting the record, his manager. Whoever is submitting the record, his HR manager. So if you don't choose this option, record submitters manager. Record submitters manager. If I choose this option, record owners manager. Are you clear about this point? Any query on this point? Now it is asking, who should be your next automated approver? Is it submitters manager or records owners manager? If it is submitters manager, disable this option. If it is a record owners manager, enable this option. Right. Next, I told you, the moment you submit the record for approval, automatically your record is lost. Your record is logged. When you submit the record for approval, automatically record is going to be logged. Who can unlock the record? Then there are two choices. If you choose the first choice, then only administrator will be able to unlock the record. If you choose the second choice, administrator as well as current approver, to whomever you are submitting the record, even that approver can unlock it. So the moment I submit the record for approval, automatically record is logged. When the record is logged, who can unlock the record? When the record is logged, who can unlock the record? Is it only the administrator or administrator and currently assigned approval? Now, log means record will be, you will not be able to edit the record. You will not be able to edit the record or modify the data. Okay. So record is logged. So when the record is logged, who can unlock the record? Who can modify the data? The moment I submit the record for approval process, automatically record is logged. When the record is logged, who will be able to unlock the record? First, when I choose the first option, only admin can unlock the record. When I choose the second option, administrator or currently assigned approver both can unlock the record. Then go to the next. Now, when you are submitting the record for an approval, how does the approver know that record is sent to him? Now, you are sending the record to Satish for approval. Now, how does the Satish know that you are submitting the record for approval? You are sending a record to Satish for approval. When you are submitting the record to Satish for approval, how does the Satish know you are submitting the record for him? You are submitting the record to Satish for approval. So what I will do, whenever I am sending a record to Satish, I will send him an email template. I will send him an email, boss, a record is sent to you for approval. Kindly approve the record or reject the record. I will send him notification email. Fine. Once I send him the email, then which fields of the record he will be able to see? Once I submit, if the approver opens the record, how the record will be displayed? He finds the record in this format. Once I submit the record for approval, the approver can see the record in this format. Now what are these? The list of fields that are visible to approver. Now when you are submitting the record, which field should be visible to the approver? I told owner, status, available limit. These are the fields which should be visible. Then it is asking approval history. Display approval history. What is this display approval history? Below the fields, it is showing before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted the record. Before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted the record. If you submitted the record to, let us say, James Smith has submitted the record to Krish, and Krish has approved it, then he has submitted to Becky Huffman. So what is this? Before you submitted the record to me, to whom else you submitted this record, what is the action they have taken? Did they approve? If yes, why? Did they reject? If yes, why? We want to know the previous history. Along with the record, we also want to see the previous history of the record. Then I will enable this. Fine. Once you saw the record, finally you have taken a decision. I saw this record, finally I have taken a decision. I want to approve it or I want to reject it. So how can you approve the record or reject the record? Once the approver has taken a decision to approve it or reject it, how can he approve or reject? There are two choices. What was this? First one, allow approvers to approve the record using Salesforce account. That means approver has to log into the Salesforce account, then approve the record or reject the record. If I choose the second one, the approver can log into Salesforce account and approve it, or else the approver can approve it from wireless devices. When you say wireless devices, it is going to be Charter, email, Salesforce mobile application or Salesforce account. So when I say Salesforce and wireless, you can approve the record from Salesforce or a Charter or a mobile application or through a email. Now, next question is, who is allowed to submit the record? We have seen all this data, but who is allowed to see the who is allowed to submit the record? Which users can submit the record? Choose who can submit the record. Then, do you want to show approval information as a related list? What is that related list? If you open any one of the record, now what is this? Credit card related information. So, do you want to show approval history On this, on the record, do you want to show the approval history? Then choose this option. Add approval history related list to the page layout. Then, do you want to call it back? If something goes wrong, I want the record to be called back. If you enable this option, what happened? You can call back the record. Whatever the record you submitted, if you want, you can call it back. So let me revise all the steps once again from beginning. Let me revise all the steps once again from the beginning. So now let me revise all the steps. First of all, it is asking choose when I say approval process wizard, jumpstart wizard, or standard setup wizard. So when you say jumpstart wizard, if we want to create simple step using single step, we choose jumpstart wizard. Want to create complex process, or multi-step wizard, then we choose standard setup wizard. Then enter the process name. Enter the approval process details. Go back to this setup, build, create workflows and approvals, approval process, then choose object, then choose the wizard, process name, new application approvals. So we ask you to enter process details like then step number 3, choose the entry criteria. Choose the entry criteria. Records which are meeting this condition, only those records are can be submitted for approval. Only those records can be submitted for approval. Now the question is, we can create entry criteria in two ways. First one, formula based. Formula based and criteria based. So formula based means complex process. Criteria based means using the fields of the record which we are giving. Using the fields of the record on which we are creating a approval process. Now, third one. Once you created the entry criteria, so we need to choose automated approval. So what is the automated approval? So who should be the next approval? In case you want to automatically send the record to the next level to a particular user, so who should be that user? So it should be automated approval. Now let us see the next condition. Go back to this. Go to the next. Then we have given entry criteria. I give the condition if application type equals to credit card. If application type equal to credit card, then allow the records to be submitted. As I told you, there are two formats, formula based and criteria based. Now we are using formula based or criteria based. I have given the condition based on criteria based where application type equals to credit card. Then next, choose automated approval. Now it can be any one of the hierarchical field. Choose automated approval. It can be any one of the hierarchical field. So choose the third number. Choose the next automated approval. Next automated approval. Maybe any one of the hierarchical when the record is submitted. Fine. Okay. Then next, if you want owners hierarchical user to approve the record, then enable the corresponding option. Then enable the option. What is the option that you have to enable it? Go back to this. Right. So it can be hierarchical field, hierarchical relationship. If you want record owner to approve it, then you have to choose this option. So this option should be enabled. If you want owners hierarchical user to approve the record, then enable this option. Enable this option. What is the option? Use approval field of the record owner. The next, record editability. When the record is submitted, approval. Then automatically record is logged. Record is logged. Choose who can edit the data in the record. So we have the options here. Admin only. B. Admin and currently assigned approver. Admin only or admin and currently assigned approver. Choose whom you want to unlock the record. If you choose only admin will be able to edit the data or unlock the record. If you choose admin and currently assigned approver, both of them can edit or unlock the record. That's what I have mentioned here. Choose the automated approver. You can leave it blank. Later on I can decide. This record editability. Who can edit it? Only administrator or administrator and currently assigned approver. Then go back. Go back to this. Then what we are doing was, how do you notify the approver regarding the record what you submitted? So what was this? Approver notification. Choose the email template. Which you want to send to approver to notify about the then next choose some email template. Then we are giving next step. What is the next step? Choose the list of fields which you want to display on the approval page. Choose the list of fields what you want to display on the approval page. Choose the list of fields what you want to display on the approval page. So here I am displaying application ID, last name, first name, application type, city and word. These are the list of fields what I want to display. So what I have to do, boss? Choose the list of fields which need to be then next it is asking display approval history information in addition to the field. So along with the fields, if you want to show the previous approval history, then enable this option. So what was this option here? Display along with the fields. If you enable this option, previous approval history will be displayed along with the record. Then approval settings. Approval settings are what? Approval settings. Now how you want to approve the record. So if you choose the first option, the approver can log into Salesforce and approve the record. So the approver has to log into the Salesforce, then approve the record. If I choose the second option, If I choose the second option, you can approve the record from Salesforce account or wireless device like mobile, email or chatter. Right. So what was this? Security settings. Then allow approvers. I can approve the record. I can approve the record from Salesforce account or from wireless device. Choose any one of the process. Then go to the next step. Choose the approval process. Salesforce account or Salesforce account or wireless device. So choose any one of the process through which you can submit the record. Then we have 10th step. Choose who can submit the record. Choose who can submit the record. So generally, who can submit the record? It can be any one of the user or a role and a subordinate, role and a subordinate or a public group. Create. Then allow submitters to recall back. Recall back. If you enable this option, approver can, submitter can call back the record. Which is submitted. So these are the first step. All this together, it is called first step of approval process. So let me show you all these steps together. This is only the first process what you have done. Step number 1 we have done. So let me give you, look at the navigation, setup, build, create, workflows and approvals, approval process, choose the object, then decide what type of wizard you want to choose, jumpstart or standard setup wizard. I am choosing standard setup wizard. Enter the process name, new credit card approval. I give the process name, then decide what is the entry criteria. I told only the credit card records, only the application which are applied for new credit card, only they should be submitted for approval. I told only the new applications which are applied for credit card, only they should be submitted for approval process. Right. When you submit the record, do you want me to take any automated approver? I told I will choose him later. No, I want the record owner's manager to be approver, and choose manager. Say no, you want records owner's HR manager to be the approver, and choose HR manager. No, I don't want records owner. I want whoever is submitting his manager to be the approver. Remove this. Then the person who is submitting his HR manager. The person who is submitting his manager. No, I will decide later. Then when you submit the record for approval, automatically record is locked. When the record is locked, who can unlock the record? when the record is logged, who can unlock the record? There are two options. Only admin and currently assigned approval. Now I told let admin only unlock the record. Then it is when you are submitting the record for an approval, how do you notify the approval? I am sending an email. Choose an email template which will send a notification to you. Then in the approval page, which fields you want to display? Approval type, applied date, some fields are selected. Along with these fields, do you want to show the previous history? Now how can the approver approve the record? There are two options again. Only from Salesforce account or Salesforce account and wireless devices. When I say wireless device, email, mobile application or chat. Now, who can submit the record for approval? Decide who can submit the record for approval. We can choose any one of the user. Right. Now, tell me, do you want to add this as a data list? Once you submitted, you want to call the record back? This whatever we discussed is only first step. There are two more steps to complete the process. So what is this? When a record need to be approved prior to implementation of the logic on the record, then we submit the record for approval process. If a record requires any approvals before implementing the logics on it, if the record requires any approval before implementing the logics on it, then we will use approval process. In that approval process, first step is submission phase. Right now what we have done is submission phase. Then second step is approval phase. Third step is action phase. We have only completed the first step of the approval process. We'll see the remaining steps in the next session. So meanwhile, any queries from your end? Any queries from your end?
For this approval process, do they need to refer any document?
It is not necessary. I'll repeat.
But then how can I know like what are the